Hi there, it's Kristen from k.becca, and 9 times out of 10, when I'm scrambling to find a card at the last minute, it's a birthday card. So today I thought that we'd make a quick and easy birthday card that's a great candidate for mass production, with a design that's got a lot of room for variation. So let's get started. I've print and cut a card panel that's just a bit smaller than A2 size, using a silhouette cameo. This is the Birthday Wishes sentiment from the hand-lettered Birthday Sentiments digital stamp set, and I've placed it at the lower right corner of the panel, about ½ an inch from both the right and bottom edges. If you're not into digital stamps, then you can easily use any kind of physical sentiment stamp instead of a digital stamp, and you don't even have to use a birthday themed stamp if you'd like to make a card for another occasion. Next, I'll grab my inks, and I'm using dye inks for this project because they're more transparent and dry quickly. I'll be using My Favorite Things dye inks in Peach Bellini, Bubblegum, Lemon Drop, and Persimmon, plus Hero Art's Neon Pink ink to add a little bit of a wow factor. To make the polka dots for the card design, I'm using a bunch of foam daubers that are typically used to add color to die-cut elements or backgrounds. I love using the foam daubers to create dots because the dots that they make have such a nice sort of fuzzy finish look, but you can also use a clean pencil eraser if you want cleaner edges, or even Q-tips for smaller, more organic looking dots. Now I'm going to start making the dots, and I want to begin with the lightest ink color and work my way through to the brightest. So I'm starting with the bubblegum ink, which is a nice light pink. I'll press the dauber around on the ink pad until it's loaded with ink, and then I'll press it onto the cardstock to create my dot. As you can see, I'm immediately reloading the dauber with ink, but you can also create another dot or two before re-inking the dauber. The second and third dots will be lighter than the first, which can create really nice variation in texture in the final design. I'll continue re-inking and making dots in a random fashion all around the panel, placing some dots partially off of the edges of the panel, and I'll add a dot in the bubblegum color over part of the sentiment. The nice thing about dye ink is that it's pretty transparent, so I don't have to worry about the sentiment getting covered up by ink. And the placement of this dot will visually pull that sentiment into the design more. Once I have several bubblegum dots scattered around the card panel, I'll move on to the next ink, which is Peach Bellini. And I'll continue making dots in the same way that I did with the bubblegum ink. Dye ink tends to dry pretty quickly, so I can place some of the Peach Bellini dots over part of the bubblegum dots without having to worry about smearing the ink. And because the inks are transparent, you can create some subtle variations in color where the dots overlap. I wanted plenty of white space in this design, so I didn't want the dots to be too tightly packed. I found that 5 to 7 dots in each color was enough for me, but it's really up to you. Add less for a more minimalist design, or add more for a more colorful and textured look. After I'm finished with the Peach Bellini dots, I'll move on to the Lemon Drop ink, which is a nice bright yellow, even though I think it looks a little bit greenish on the screen here. And then I'll go to the Persimmon, which is a rich reddish orange. Finally, I'll add a little oomph with Neon Pink ink. I'm kind of a sucker for anything neon, and I really think it adds something here. After I'm finished making the dots, I'll clean up my work surface with a wet baby wipe. I'm using a silicone craft mat here so the ink wipes right off, but if you don't have a craft mat, be sure to place a piece of scrap paper or cardboard or something underneath while you're working so you don't stain your work surface. After I finished cleaning things up, I thought that I'd add a little sparkle with some sequins, but guys, I am just terrible with sequins if they're not part of a shaker card. I always start off with the thought that I'll just add a few as a little embellishment, but I get really picky about the placement and end up adding way too many, and I always ruin the card. I'll keep practicing, and hopefully one day I'll master the fine art of adding just the right amount of sequins. But for this card, I just decided to leave them off altogether because I actually like the card better without them. Now, all that's left to do is to attach the card panel to a top-folding A2 size card base. But I want to add some dimension here, so I cut a piece of white fun foam that's a little smaller than the card panel, and I'll attach it to the card panel using some score tape. I like to use score tape for this because the type of double-sided adhesive runner that I use just doesn't like to stick to the foam, so it's much easier with the score tape, and you can use any width. After I've covered both sides of the foam with tape, I'll peel the protective paper from the tape strips on one side and adhere it to the back of the card panel. Then I'll peel the protective paper from the strips on the other side, and I'll center the card panel over the card base and press it into place to finish. This is such a quick and easy card to make. I think it only took me about 15 minutes from start to finish, including setting up the print and cut panel in Silhouette Studio. And it would be so simple to change out the dot colors to whatever ink colors you like. You could use blues and greens for a more masculine card, rainbow colors for a really bright and festive look, or even metallic inks for a shimmery finish. I hope that you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more quick and easy card making videos, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in again soon.